In later years, it is not hard to agree with the fact that the Oscars have become irrelevant. It has been abundantly clear that the Oscars have become more and more political, and that I would absolutely say that it is not necessarily the best movies that are winning awards anymore. The Oscars have turned into this very elitistic event where you feel it is the film elite and the high society people that are celebrating themselves with extravagant red carpet parties and after parties. They all do this and take a step away from what the Oscars should be about, of course, celebrating the best movies and actors in a given year. But right now, it is just an elite party where we see the richest people, influencers, actors, and directors coming together in a big elite party where it is largely not about films. It is about how you dress and conduct yourself in the media. There has always been controversy about the voting process where Oscar voters have not seen certain movies, have not voted for certain actors and actresses to win the best awards. Luckily, this year, this shady and messy process have come to light, which has given us some shocking controversy behind the scenes. For instance, it was reported that certain Oscar voters did not vote for June Part 2 either because they did not like it or because they did not thought it had a chance to win. Of course, there were also voters that had not even seen June Part 2, which again is a shocking thing because although these Oscar voters certainly are independent, that does not make it a fair process. You also feel that every movie that is nominated should have a chance to win. At least the voters should see them all before making a decision. Another report was about The Brutalist, but some of the voters did not see it because they meant it was too long, which in some ways feels strange to me, as The Brutalist feels like a very typical Oscar movie, actually more a typical Oscar movie than the one that ended up winning it, Anora. Another report came about a movie called Conclave, about this pope that is about to be elected, which is actually a trans pope, which then, of course, again makes it very political. But anyways, the reporting here was that one voter did not vote for Ralph Fiennes because that person thought that he had won the Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role before. That's also something that should be easy for an Oscar voter to do research on, and it seemed kinda arrogant when they make their final decision about voting. One of the voters also reported that they could not stomach anything with the story related to Trump. That's why I could not vote for Sebastian Stan as the best actor in a leading role, which again shows the bias from these voters. Of course, we all have a certain bias when reviewing movies, but it should not be a case if you are an Oscar voter and you have a certain hate/dislike for a particular character, and you cannot watch that movie because of it. Okay, fair enough, you do not need to vote for this particular actor, but at least see the movie to make it a fair process. Another comment that I will give about this year's Oscars is how Emilia Paris could even be nominated in the first place, or particularly this movie and Conclave. We see these trans people seem to be nominated only as an angry outcry against Trump becoming president because he does not like trans people. But of course, that is more of a wild theory. Nevertheless, Emilia Paris is perhaps the lowest rated movie to ever be nominated, which is a picture not liked by those against the woke agenda. It is not liked by the people for the woke agenda, as people feel that Carla Sofia Gascon is not any good advocate for their movement. She has received a lot of backlash for her earlier tweets that she still had on her account, which dates back to 2020, where she had his Islamophobic tweets, these racist tweets, and his wild tweets against George Floyd. Of course, she might not mean all that stuff now, but that did at least portray her in a bad light. Anyways, that Emilia Paris, this sort of musical crime movie about a sex change operation where a man becomes a woman to hide from a past as a cartel leader, that it was even nominated must be the most political move they ever had done at the Oscars up until that point. Generally, what I would like to see near the end here is that you should really fix the voting process and make it more neutral. Those that vote on these nominated movies should at least watch them all, and of course it might be that they vote for the same intended first choice anyway, but at least then they have made a thorough review where they have considered all the movies. Of course, they should also read and be updated about how people has won Oscars before or not, so that we can avoid certain situations where a certain actor is not voted for because they failed perception that he has the award for Best Actor in a leading role before. Of course, it may be no change, but still Oscar voters will do whatever they want and not what's on most. It will still perhaps continue to be elitistic, with all its flashy dresses and outfits where the films are put in second stage. Nevertheless, I feel the Oscars need a fundamental change, a complete revamp in the voting system, so that we can have a more fair process when considering who will win such high awards as Best Picture and Best Actor in a Leading Role.